Well, hello YouTube. Here we are. We have a start to what's going to be a beautiful warm day. It's been probably a week or so since I've picked up a camera. Kind of just took some time to think about a few things, weigh out options, and see where it takes, see where things go. And yeah, welcome to our vlog. So here we go. Well, of course, I'm not 100% sure where to start. Well, after probably almost 2 years of job searching, job hunting, being on a program that had so many rules and restrictions and stuff that limited my job prospects out there, or jobs that I could apply for, or even jobs that I would qualify for given their restrictions and rules. I was off their program and finally was able to apply for jobs, and I was able to actually get a call back and had me an interview. However, that being said, it was for a job that, well, was interesting. It sounded interesting verbally on paper, but the more and more information I got about said position, the less and less more appealing that it seemed. The price they were going to pay me a month was quite hefty. It was quite, it would have more than paid for my current expenses and allowed me to bank and maybe even go as far as doing some more things around the house here. However, that being said, in order to do said position or job, there was courses and licenses and testing and all that stuff that a guy would have to take, which, okay, fine, you know, it's a part of life. If you want yourself a career over a job, you got to take courses sometimes, you know, get all those safety tickets, or all those, you know, class 1 driver's license, or whatever, right? Whatever the whatever the job dictates or career dictates. So of course I was semi all for that. You know, there would have been quite a bit of an expense there, but you know, there's a little bit of slush fund there for just such an occasion that a guy could have maybe dipped into. So of course I weighed out the options and all that, and had an interview with them, finding out more information. Now, in order to do the job, I'd have to purchase a vehicle, purchase another vehicle on top of the one that I already have, which basically means you have another car payment or vehicle payment to do the job, which sort of makes sense. Then that way you're not using your truck for this kind of job, you're using another vehicle that you specifically bought for this position. You know, deductions, write-offs, use, all that is solely only to be used for this job, which makes sense come tax time. However, the kilometers that I'd be putting on the car and the expenditures that I'd be putting out would be well above and beyond what is really reasonable. You know, give it a couple of years and that car would be wore out, and you'd still owe 25 to 30,000 on it. What are you supposed to do then, right? You know, go back to the dealership, trade off a car with over 200,000 K on it, and roll the loan over on another car and end up owing 60,000 on the next car you buy? And I couldn't do that, right? Keep in mind, with driving, there's maintenance, like oil changes, servicing tires. Most soft winter tires only rated for about 50-60,000 K, so you'd be going through, you know, several sets of tires a year. Yeah, as much as the job was appealing at my current stage in life, financially and lifestyle, as much as it was appealing to me, I couldn't do it. You know, there's fuel charges on top of that, commercial insurance on top of that. Don't forget, you'd be living somewhere else. Now, it's not moving from Lloydminster that gets me, and moving to somewhere else. It's the fact that I've already started to put down roots here. Bought a house, got other things going on here that really you just can't go rent an apartment in another city to do a job in, can you? Like, unless I rented this house out or something, and then what happens in 6 months or a year, right? Like, what if work slows up there? What do I do with the car? The half wore out car, what do I do with it then? What do I do with the apartment up there? It's just, I know I have a tendency of overthinking things sometimes. However, the more I weighed the pros and cons on this one, the less and less good feeling I had about it. Now, of course, yeah, by all means, it'd be nice to make a large sum every month. However, realistically, at the end of the month, you would be lucky to take home, free and clear, maybe $1,000 a month. That's after everything's paid for. Now, everything's paid for, that's one thing. But at the same time, when you're doing 90% of your income to pay other things off, like expenses to make the money, that's a lot of output and very little gain per se, right? So unfortunately, like I said there, I had to contact the people and turn them down at this time. I didn't really feel right taking the job and pretending and going through all these courses, paying all this money. There'd be no pay until I was behind the wheel, so it's not like I could have milked the position for 3 months of so-called free money. So really, I'd be paying out money left, right, and center, and there could be traveling to Edmonton or further for courses, which, has to be done. It has to be done. So where's that money or expenditure supposed to come from, right? How's that supposed to be covered? It's just kind of the way things work out, right? So of course, I've kind of narrowed my search to more local-ish kind of work. Even though this job that I applied for, or that job that I applied for, didn't say nothing about working out of town, nor did it say anything about having to purchase a vehicle in the application process or the write-up or nothing. I figured I would drive one of theirs and just get my licenses and stuff, which makes sense. Obviously, if this company is a legitimate company or a large enough company, you would think they would have 2 or 3 vehicles, a fleet of vehicles, if you want to say. But it's kind of like, because things are slow, it's almost like these companies are hurting. It's almost like they are needing an influx of cash to keep their company afloat. So they're trying to bring new blood into a business that they have been struggling to keep afloat themselves. And by bringing new blood in, they can get the new money and maybe survive for another 8 months or a year. The reason why I say that is I responded to another job. It was a delivery type of job. It said, need help, need another driver to drive my route. And it sounded like the guy already had a truck, already had detailed customers, already had, client list and everything, and all you got to do is get behind the wheel and drive, which is what kind of I'm looking for. Okay, whatever, it was $20 an hour or whatever, fine, $2,500 a month or whatever, it's whatever, I don't care what the money would have been. But he comes back and says, yeah, I need $130,000 because you got to buy the franchise rights and buy a delivery vehicle. And it's like, really? You might want to revise your help wanted ad a little bit. You don't want help, you want someone to buy you out of your failing business. And that's kind of why I'm thinking that some of these people are looking for fresh blood or new money to keep their businesses afloat, instead of just coming to the realization that their businesses are failing. And why not quit while you're ahead and close down, instead of, going bankrupt or broke themselves, trying to keep a dream alive that is failing. To drive whatever it would have been 2.5, 3 hours to the middle of nowhere, the central location, and then another hour, hour and a half each direction, kind of in a web out to do a job. Wouldn't it be better off to have brought somebody from that area and trained them up to do the job? Then that way they don't have to relocate. They can drive an hour and a half to a central location and do what they need to do. Wouldn't you think, if there was a legitimate need for that kind of service, or a service of this kind in those towns, small towns, that there'd already be a company out of the city doing the service? Just because we, a town of 30,000 people, could have a use for a Costco, doesn't mean they should build one here. Doesn't mean the town would support Costco. Just because there's a need for one doesn't mean they should build it. Well, just because there's a need for a certain type of service in certain towns doesn't mean that the town can support it. That doesn't mean that they should, bring the service there, unless it can, sustain it indefinitely. But pretty much, guys, of course, kind of jabbered on here for a bit. Like I said, it's been like a week since I grabbed the camera. A lot has gone on. Pulled back, did some reflecting, did some thinking, did some weighing out options. It would have been nice to have had a job. It would have been nice to have been making some good income finally. It would have been nice to, use some of my skills that I have to good use. However, all the stuff I'd have to do, and the complete overhaul lifestyle change, is the big, kicker, right? Shutting down the whole YouTube thing, well, it's going to happen eventually. Why better do it for a reason than just because you're frustrated with the way everything's working on out. So of course, going to go in and do a few things. Thinking about doing some stuff on the project today. Just a matter of getting everything squared away and see how the day unfolds from here. So yeah, you gister. Catch y'all later. Well, of course, a little bit of a stressful type of day, but well, it was kind of a self-caused stress. Not really caused by anybody else per se, just kind of my own worrying and all that. How am I gonna break it to the people? How do you deal with this type of situation? You made your choice. Is it the right choice you made, or is it the wrong choice? With everything going on, you don't want to make the wrong choice. But at the same time, with the way things are going, was it the right choice to begin with? Got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things coming about, and it would have made a whole complete lifestyle change, which sometimes change is a good thing. However, financially, can a guy afford it this time? And even if there is wiggle room, which there always is something to leverage or something to put on the line to make it happen. Should you do it, which I've never been one to try not to overextend myself. And the only time that I ever did overextend myself, it never ended well. So that's why I try not to do it, right? So of course, you kind of second guess yourself. Did you make, or are you making the right choice? Are you going to be worse off in a few months? Should you have took the position? You know, again, like I said there earlier, it's not like I could have took it, spent 3 or 4 months training, and then found something better in the meantime, right? It's not like it was a paid position until I got behind the wheel of a car. So after I was certified and all that, that's when the money started to roll in. Well, it could be a month or two, and then the large expense of a vehicle, right? And I don't know, my truck wasn't acceptable for what they were looking for. You know, as much as it's a brand new truck and it's, you know, very, very low kilometers, they're more looking for a car because, well, a lot of the city kids don't know how to drive a truck. You know, they've been raised around cars and SUVs, where some of the outlying kids, well, are farmers, and they've been raised around trucks. So I don't know how that would have worked out or not. As well as he kind of did suggest that if I was going to buy a vehicle, you know, I should buy a Camaro or a Mustang or a Charger or something eye-catchy or flashy, because all the young kids want, you know, to drive a Camaro, Charger, you know, all that flashy things. You know, nobody wants to drive a little 4-cylinder, you know, crossover type of vehicle that makes common sense and is safe. Little do these kids realize that in another, what, 4 or 5 years, when they do finally get going and rolling and out on their own, there's no way they're going to be able to afford that Charger or that Mustang or that Camaro unless mommy and daddy buy it for them. Because you're talking a, what, $45,000, $50,000 vehicle, and there's no way the average kid will be able to afford anything even close to that right away. So whatever, it is what it is. As one door slams shut, another door opens. I just have to find the door and walk on through it. You know, there'll be a few things, like I said, come about this summer, and we'll get those over and done with and keep looking while we're at her. Something will pop up as long as, well, you're observant and watching for it, and it'll all be fine. But pretty much, guys, gonna end her all here. Today was a day. Tomorrow, well, we are putting one foot forward, following it by the other foot, and around we go. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's Vlogs. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.